Welcome to Real Gardens from the Royal Horticultural Society's Hampton Court Palace Flower Show. For this week, the grounds of Hampton Court Park have been transformed into a vast garden centre with 25 acres of marquees, exhibits and show gardens, all of them displaying and selling their wares, which contain everything and anything that could possibly be related to gardens or gardeners. Now, we're going to be bringing some of our real gardeners here and give them £75 each to see what they can find to spend it on. But first, we're going to go to their own gardens at home and see the sort of thing that they might be looking for. On the rural outskirts of Huddersfield is an allotment run by a keen gardener who grows all his produce in raised beds on strict organic principles. Adam Waterman does his best to supply his wife and family with fruit and vegetables throughout the year. His wife Katie is equally determined that he should create a jungly playground for their 4 small children in their front garden. And things have certainly moved on since my last visit. Oh, you've done stuff, haven't you?
Oh, yes, we've been busy.
Yeah, so you've dug these beds.
Yep.
When did you do that?
It was Father's Day. It was very hot. Everybody else was having beers and we were digging.
I now see the sort of jungly effect you wanted. It was almost literal, wasn't it? It wasn't just lots of growth. You really wanted exotica.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And have you extended the trellis?
We have.
Let's look at that.
We have. About 6 foot.
Squashes are growing, aren't they?
Yep, they're just starting to take.
What's all this about?
This is for the willow cave that I'm going to make.
Adam's cave will be made out of willow wands, which should take root when they're stuck in the ground. He wants to put it in the corner by the trellis, but in order to do that, we'll have to move some plants.
Are you going to help?
I'd love to, but I've got so much decorating to do inside. The builders have now gone, and the kids aren't here.
All right, OK, we'll get on without you.
Apart from the rose, which Adam's going to give his brother-in-law, most of these plants will be saved for a border he's planning on the other side of the front wall. Meanwhile, Katie is working at full stretch on the new extension, as she's only got 6 weeks leave left following the birth of their new baby.
Before we put that down, let's put the willow in and then mulch around them.
OK.
Do you want to get a bit of string to draw a circle?
No.
How do you want to do it?
About.
OK, yeah, I like about. I'm good at about.
All I'm after is a last one there.
Yeah.
And last one there.
And so this is the entrance?
Yeah, because then I'm going to put some that way and then weave some that way, so it provides a hole.
The beauty of this is the simplest job in the garden. You just push them in.
OK.
But get them in...
How deep?
Well...
About 10 inches.
Yeah. So there are 2 different types, but what are the lighter green ones for?
They're a light green willow.
Oh, a light green willow?
Yep.
So
and this is a darker green willow.
Silly question.
Will it produce a leader? Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, you can see there's one that might grow from there. Certainly that will grow up.
Right.
Providing the ground is kept wet, the willow should take root in a week or so, and the diagonal branches, woven between the uprights, will strengthen the cave and stop it blowing about too much in the wind.
Wow, you've been working.
Do you like it?
Nice to see you've been doing something.
Do you like it?
What do you mean doing something? Mind, you can see that you've been painting.
How's that?
Because most of it's over your face and your arms and your trousers. Looks very fetching. Spattered.
Are you flirting with my wife, Mr. Don?
I always flirt. Now, you realise it's not going to stay like this, because these uprights are going to grow on up and then meet over the top, and then you tie them, and all these are just really a framework. So it'll be like a sort of great leafy igloo.
Right.
So everything here will grow.
Very good.
Good girl.
Pat and Sandy Wallace struggle for space in their small courtyard garden in the Islington area of London. Pat, who's a taxi driver when he isn't laid up with a broken leg, is mad about big tropical plants. His wife Sandy prefers tiny alpines like this house leek and is always looking for places to put them.
The Zandstettia could go here, and the Waggy...
Last time Anne-Marie was here, she helped Pat reorganise the layout of his tropical collection. Since then, despite his broken leg, he's supervised some changes to the bottom end of the garden.
And we've done some work at the back while you've been away.
Some
homework. You've done loads. How have you managed to do all this?
I've got some friends. A friend of mine, Bob, came in and helped me. We cut the shed in half, as you can see.
I love this screening that you've put all around the shed. It really is a fantastic backdrop, isn't it?
It softens the back, doesn't it? And we're going to go right the way round.
So what are we going to do today, though?
We can go upwards now. We've got more planting space.
On the roof?
On the roof. We can plant some house leeks up there.
So where are they? Are they down there?
They're down the base,
Should we go and have a look?
Yep.
OK. Come on, hop along. So these are all Sempervivum tectora, aren't they?
Yeah. Folklore has it that we used to plant them on roofs of houses to ward off lightning, and then if there was a hole in the roof, it would plug the hole, hence the name house leek. And I just think they're odd, and I think when they flower, they look extraordinary.
What are we going to plant them in?
Oh,
right. I was thinking about compost, but if you want to use your tie, Sandy, that's fine.
I just thought they would sort of sit under the willow fencing and put the compost inside until they get established. And
that is a really good idea.
Yeah.
And this is the compost.
It's a mix of multi-purpose, sharp sand and silver pearl to give it the drainage, because they don't like being wet, do they?
No, they don't. Actually, you can see the perlite in here, can't you? That's a volcanic material. It's really lovely and light and fluffy. It's perfect for it. With his leg in a plaster cast, there's no way Pat is going up on the shed roof. That leaves Sandy and me to get on with the job. That's sturdy. Are you going to go up, Sandy?
It looks like it.
Pat has left a gap between the actual roof of the shed and the decorative willow screening. So Sandy's cutting holes in the willow to create planting spaces. Meanwhile, I pack compost and Sempervivums into the pop socks and hand them up to her.
I think I've made a big enough... Oh, that's lovely.
Planting is easy. Sandy simply pushes the socks through the holes. It's a technique that would work just as well in any old crevice or hole in the wall. We've also included a few of these grey sedums to cascade over the edge. Do you want this?
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Finally, we brush extra compost through the willow to encourage the plants to spread.
I think you need to take 4 or 5 leaves off there.
Oh, yeah, I agree, because then if we take some of this foliage down, we can actually see what Sandy's just done.
Yeah.
OK, this one then?
No, a little bit lower. That's enough, because that promotes growth for next year. Lovely.
Yeah. That one?
Thank you.
They're lovely things, aren't they?
Magic. Thank you. That's better, isn't it?
Oh, that is better.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Pat found this old pair of antelope horns in a flea market, and they certainly add to the tropical atmosphere. That looks like a witch doctor's hut now.
Well, it looks the business, doesn't it?
But Pat still wants more changes to his garden. At the moment, it's all leaf and precious little colour.
I think we need a little bit more bend here, so we need some underplanting.
Do you know what? That's exactly it. I think we definitely need more underplanting, more spikes of colour. That'll sort of please Sandy and make it more garden-like.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
And there's Hampton Court coming up. Perfect opportunity to look at some plants. Not palms. God knows how you're going to get around.
Well, you're either going to carry me or push me, I think.
I'm going to get a wheelbarrow, Pat.
Chris and Bill Skeels moved to Devon from Essex 8 years ago to live out their dream of setting up a rural smallholding. Their first few years were taken up with looking after the animals, but now they've reorganised the farm and are making progress with their garden. Bill has done all the hard landscaping himself, building walls and putting in a decking area. Meanwhile, Chris has been busy propagating hundreds of plants, and Carol Klein is here to help her find homes for them. Today, she wants Carol's advice on how to deal with an ugly bare patch next to the house.
Right. So this is my naked shingle bed.
Could do with a few plants, couldn't it?
It's desperate for plants.
And what do you use this area for?
Well, this is a main walkway.
Right, because wherever we put these plants, we just must make sure that they don't feel awkward and you don't feel you've got to.
You don't want to walk over them.
Yeah. So shall we just see? I've got a feeling there's a big curve there, isn't there? How about having something that emphasises it? You know, like a big round bed here.
Looks good to me, yeah?
Yeah, and you've still got all that space there, but if we had another one over here, I don't know, kind of crescenty shape about there and across.
Yeah.
So it's like the sun and the moon, Chris.
Oh, how poetic.
What's this stuff that's down here now?
This is what they call scalpings. We've used it just really for economy. It is a quarter of the price of what we're actually going to put on, because we're not leaving it like this. We're putting a creamstone on top.
Right. Preparing the new beds involves quite a bit of heavy work, so Bill's giving us a hand. How deep did you say this was? First step is to remove all the grey scalpings and to strip off the porous membrane. Then it's time to get digging. Mind your nose, Bess. It doesn't pay to skimp on soil preparation, so we're digging in gravel to improve drainage and compost to enrich it. I think that's enough, you know.
Yeah.
Don't you?
That's
What a
good.
change.
Looks fine, doesn't it?
Right. We've brought over a selection of drought-tolerant plants that will enjoy the well-drained conditions we've created. Yeah. Both these beds are the same. You know, to all intents and purposes, the conditions are exactly the same. So it doesn't matter so much what goes where from that point of view. So I think we should do it on based on aesthetic principles. Let's have Aunt May.
These are nice straight upright shapes.
Yeah. That's evergreen, so it's going to be visible all year round.
All year round.
Lots of these things are very silvery, Chris, and they're going to look lovely with your creamy stone.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
You know what here, Sue?
We've got lots of feely plants here, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Lots of touchy ones.
Yeah.
Because lots of these dry-loving things actually do have very soft leaves. This will make a low mound. It's got really lovely silvery pink pea flowers and bronze seed pods.
Then we can have my baby.
Now
my hirsute friend.
Right. And that's going to make this big rosette. This salvia will shoot up spires of white flowers in late summer. It's best to decide on the design of the beds while the plants are still in their pots. Once we're certain they're in the right position, it's time to get them into the ground. We're finishing off with a thin top layer of the more expensive gravel. Chris fills in the spaces between the plants by hand, so they appear to spring from a sea of gravel. The gravel doesn't just look good, it acts as a mulch and suppresses weeds.
I really like it. What do you think?
A lot of hard work, but it's marvellous.
It is, isn't it? I'm tired out, but it was definitely worth it.
No weeding?
That's the best part.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
OK, so now we've seen our real gardeners in their own gardens at home. After the break, we're going to be bringing them here to Hampton Court, showing them the amazing range of plants and show gardens, and seeing how they react to that, and also how they're going to spend their money. What are they going to choose to buy? See you in a minute or two. Welcome back. Hampton Court Flower Show has an atmosphere quite unlike any other show I know. It's very different to Chelsea, for example, which is very compact. And Hampton Court is sprawling and generous. All our real gardeners have now arrived and are making their way around the show. But first, we're joining Anne-Marie and Pat the cat.
Oh, wow. We can go in. Oh, thank you, sir. What do you think of this, then?
I'm on holiday.
Lovely, isn't
Yeah.
it? I love the way they've used all of these annuals as underplanting, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And some nice palms.
Yeah,
course,
lovely
of course.
palms.
And what's this tall, pink?
Oh, that's Marina longifolia.
Oh, it's very nice. Well, I think it's fabulous. I mean, you've got the foliage at the back, which I'd love in my garden.
Yeah.
You've got so many different colours. You've got ordinary plants, which I wouldn't have in the garden, which look really good set against this background.
I think it's like a film set. I really do.
I just love the marigolds that just show you how an ordinary, everyday plant can look fantastic.
It looks really good. I think what we'll do, we'll go shopping and we'll buy this whole garden. We'll go home and we'll start all
And
over
rip
again.
all ours out. That's what you're going to say, isn't
the
it?
whole
Yeah.
thing.
Me and Sandy will rip it all out.
The show garden which Adam Waterman most wants to see is You Magazine's Go Organic garden, which is a beautiful mixture of flowers and vegetables.
What do you think about these raised beds? They're oak, you know.
Are they?
Yeah, these are solid oak.
Aesthetically, I suppose it looks lovely, but it wouldn't be cheap. It would be prohibitively expensive to me.
Nah, what about that slate? Would you use that to save your chips?
Again, that is more practical. Wood chips disappear. Eventually, they rot down.
What about the mixed planting in there? I mean, you tend to have blocks of things, don't you?
Well, I do at the moment. I mean, I don't companion plant as much as I should do. I know that. But it's nice to see.
And the point of this is obviously to show that organic growing...
It's very pretty.
Can be and should be beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful, it is, yeah.
Now, something they haven't used is the paper.
They will next year.
Well, let me show you something. You see these raised beds are growing in there?
Yeah.
I hope they're not watching. If we scrape that away, look what's in there.
Oh, pots.
Everything is in pots. It
is a show garden, though, isn't it? I mean, I would walk past it and I would think, that's interesting because they've got vegetables, because so few show gardens have vegetables, full stop.
Right.
And then what would take me back again is, and they're also organic. Right. So that's what, for me, would do.
Well, let's have a look. What do you like particularly?
I was amazed to see purple podded peas.
They're lovely, aren't they?
Yes, well, I've got some of these, but if I was walking past this would scream HDRA, you know, the Organic Association. I mean, that would...
Because you can only get them from there?
You can only get them from there. You've got to join their seed library.
Right.
But they're fantastic.
OK, what can you take from this back to Yorkshire?
I will do more companion planting. I'll be trying to get more flowers interspersed with my vegetables, which allotment communities would possibly wonder about. But it's a good organic principle, and it should be used.
Do you think that a garden like this is beyond the reach of anybody?
Anyone can do it. You've just got to look into it. You've just got to read up. You've just got to learn.
Hampton Court is famous for its water gardens. Chris and Bill Skeels have a pond to plant up, and they need to find out exactly how to do it.
Well, what do you think?
I like this, you know. I just like it because it looks so natural. I can see this at ours.
But most of the plants on this side are native plants. You know, there's this purple loosestrife and all these different sedges and the...
So they'd be happy up at our house then, wouldn't they?
They'd be really happy.
I love this grass. What's this called?
Carex pendula.
Oh, and look at how it hangs out. It's like earrings, isn't it?
Yeah.
I could wear them.
Yeah, we could. We could have a matching pair.
Yes, we could. I love this purple flower. And yet if I saw that in a nursery, I wouldn't buy it. Because I think, oh, you know, I don't like spindly things. But here in context with all these neighbours, I think, oh, yeah, that's really, you know, you could go out and buy it now. You have the inspiration because you come here and you see these things.
What about the bridge?
I think it's beautiful. I like the way the bridge starts and finishes. It sort of blends off into the plants and you don't see the beginning or the end of the bridge.
It's very natural, doesn't it? It doesn't look engineered or particularly constructed, and it's very simple. So
you wanted a bridge, didn't you?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I think this is a really good idea. What's that over there that looks like an allium? I don't think it is it?
No, it's not. It's a flowering rush. It's butomus. It's really very, very pretty.
That really is nice. Can we have that in our pond?
Of course you can. Absolutely.
Can we have one there?
If you plant it.
Oh, you buy it, I'll plant it.
OK.
Almost everyone who comes to Hampton Court is here to go shopping, and our real gardeners still have their £75 to spend.
I like this.
It's beautifully sculptural, isn't it? It's pickerel weed. I think it's lovely, that.
Pickle weed?
Pickerel. Not
pickerel.
Not pickles,
Right.
pickerel. I don't know what pickerel means, but it has lovely sort of spikes of blue flower too.
Oh, so that'll be nice, wouldn't
Yeah.
it? What about the size, though, do you think? Because it's a very big pond, isn't it?
We've got bigger plants down here.
What's
What
some
about
others?
that?
Yeah, that's the same one. That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a real bucket full,
A
isn't
big
it?
plant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it to Tarzan.
Oh, that'll be... Oh, that's fine.
Carry that, please, Bill.
OK.
What else? There's that purple loosestrife that you saw. Look at that. And they're already in these smashing pots.
So we can just plant it in?
You can just plant it like it is, straight into mud.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about this? It looks like a piece of string.
It's corkscrew rush, isn't it?
right.
Isn't it good?
Yeah, this is the sort of thing Bill would like. I wouldn't go for this, but he would.
Junkers.
Oh, yes, got to have one of these.
Is he allowed some plants?
He's allowed some junk.
Yeah.
Got to have one of these.
What about that other one, that big round-headed one?
Yeah, your allium, your butomus.
Butomus, that's
The thing
it.
is, it's got such straight leaves, it gets mixed up with everything else, doesn't it? I think that's it, though, with those big, strong leaves.
Oh, it's got red down the bottom.
Yeah, it's really beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, that's a nice plant, isn't it?
It is. Do you think that's enough to be going on with?
Well,
My hands are full.
Come on, then.
all right then.
Are your pockets, though? Who's going to pay?
Do you think there's anything here that might interest you?
Well, that wasp and fly trap, that's interesting because Seth is allergic to wasp and bee stings.
It says green science controls naturally. Can we see it?
Yes, certainly can. Right. What you actually do is you place the trap where you're getting a lot of wasps and flies. You put the chemical into the actual reservoir in the base here.
Right.
And then wasps and flies go up in the inside and they get trapped in the actual carton itself.
Pheromone and organic lure. Is it approved by the Soil Association?
No, it's not.
We use at home a bit of jam in some water, greaseproof paper over the top, and make a hole in the middle. They go in, they can't get out.
And it does
Now,
the trick.
how are you telling me that with an unknown chemical
It does
is
say
any
it's organic.
different to jam and water?
It is organic.
Well, it will actually work the same in the principle, but at the end of the day, some people, if this is a pre-made thing ready to go home, this
Does
is an
that say
organic
organic?
lure.
It is organic.
It is an organic lure.
Do you want to buy that or do you want to think about it?
I'll think about it. I'll definitely think about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, this should be right up your street. What about that
Fabulous,
tropical colour?
Flowers, look.
Look at the colour that is there.
Oh, they're gorgeous, aren't they? Really nice. That's striatum, isn't it?
What about the other one? What's the other one?
That's Durban.
I'd like to give those a try.
Yeah, they're really a vertical accents, aren't they? They can look fantastic,
What
aren't
we
they?
need. What about something underneath? Bedding.
Well, we do need to think about ground cover as well, don't we?
What about something like that?
I think that's gorgeous, you know. I mean, I doubt if that's going to be hardy, but you could use it like bedding.
A couple of those along the path, I think. Bit of brightness.
Yeah,
A lot of protection there.
Oh, well, you two have been really easy to please, haven't you? So,
For a change.
I'm going to leave you to spend the rest of the afternoon spending money, I think.
Hampton Court caters for all tastes. Our real gardeners bought lots of plants, but they also took away lots of ideas, which they hope to use in their gardens back home.
So many things to see and very inspirational, really. I really enjoyed it. And you've got these designers and you can come and say what a wonderful idea it is, and you can pitch all their ideas and go home for free and do it all yourself. That's what I like about this sort of thing.
My impression of the show gardens, well, I regard them as little more than like a fashion show, like a catwalk. But a garden such as this is a bit different. That's using a bit more real life. I think as long as you come here with the attitude that you're just going to get an idea, you know, nothing more and nothing less. I mean, it's not real. I don't think that the normal human being would be able to replicate in the same way as some of these.
I think the problem with coming today is I want to go home and start all over again. But I won't do that. What I will do is I'll add some of this to what I've got and improve my garden no end. But this is really fabulous. I'm on holiday. This is what I want.
That's it for Real Gardens from the Royal Horticultural Society's Hampton Court Flower Show. We'll be back next week with a special programme.
We're going to revisit 3 of our real gardeners from last year. This will give us a brilliant opportunity to see how gardens change and develop, not overnight, but over an entire year. That's a Real Gardens 1-hour programme at the new time of Sunday evening at 6:30 p.m.
I think it should be a really special programme. Join me then. Bye-bye. Welcome to Real Gardens. Now, we haven't got any quick fixes, we've got no magical overnight transformations, but we have got real people working in their gardens at home week by week.
This week, I'm murdering slugs with Adam Waterman in Yorkshire.
The thought of maximum pain and retribution makes the gardener sleep better at night.
And Carol is splashing about with the skeels in Devon.
Oh, sorry, Bill.
Dilys Wilson moved from the countryside to a Cotswold townhouse a year ago. When she first moved in, both house and garden were in ruins. She completely renovated the house in less than 6 months, and then she turned her endless energy to the garden.
It was just a mass of brambles. Not exaggerating, they were actually over 6.5 feet high. I had to clear it, and unfortunately I had a great boyfriend at the time who helped me, and he was like Rambo, sort of annihilating all these brambles. Well, it was a nightmare zone.
Dilys has now reached the point where she could do with some technical advice, and perhaps a bit of extra muscle as well. A landscape gardener like Anne-Marie Powell is just what she needs.
So this is it.
Cool. Well, I know you think that you're living in town, but to be quite honest, this feels very country to me. It really does.
Do you think so? Now, to me, it feels really towny because I'm so used to having like fields and really open spaces.
No, it's very countrified with all this stone as well. It's just like, it's beautiful. Let's get in there. So you've already split it up into 4 different areas, haven't you?
There's 4 areas. There's the courtyard, which I haven't really done much with. I've just sort of gravelled it just to keep it a bit cleaner. I've drawn a plan. So this is my potager. So I want like vegetables and kitchen stuff and fruit and all that kind of
stuff. So you can just nip out and grab what you need. So this area here, this is a water garden then, this bit here, isn't it?
Yep. This is going to be the pond.
So we're standing in the water?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
OK, and what kind of planting do you see around here?
Well, I want really big swathes of herbaceous and perennial plants. Really use the walls as a key to put, you know, honeysuckle and roses and clematis and all sorts of interesting things up there. I want this to be a real tranquil area.
So if this is another plane that we've got here, and as far as I can see, what's all this lot here? This is actually going to be a lawn.
This, yes, you can't see it now.
No.
This is it. Yeah, this is good.
A lot of moving to be done first.
Well, this is the last bit of stone that's left over from the house.
So here you've got all these different compartments, and is this trellis? I mean, I've seen that you've got trellis there. Is that how you're going to split it up?
Yeah, going to put trellis up with lots of climbers up it, and then also arches, so that you just get glimpses from one sort of garden room into the next.
Right.
Dilys has made the basic framework of the garden by building dry stone walls to make raised beds. But the arbour will introduce a much-needed vertical feature in the garden.
OK, so uprights, panels, arbour.
Right, what I see is an archway here that we make into an arbour. So we've got an arch with trellis sides and trellis back.
Right.
So we have a seat and it's a kind of focal point.
Yep.
And then either side of the arch we have trellis to screen it off from the back room, as it were. So there's trellis across here.
Yeah.
And trellis across here, but obviously we need a gap through here.
So you can walk through?
Yeah.
Dilys has done all her building by eye, but for a job like this we need to be exact, and this horizontal cord will ensure that all the supporting posts are properly aligned.
What you could do is just go back and see how it looks, if this is your back trellis line, because it might need to shift forwards or backwards depending.
No, I reckon that's about right.
While I make some final adjustments to the post hole, Dilys is measuring the height of the trellis so that she can mark on every post where the bottom of each panel should fit.
So that's the first post, isn't it?
That's the first post.
Right.
And that's its height.
With the string and the pencil marks aligned, we can make sure that all the trellis panels will fit at the same height, even though the ground is uneven.
I mean, it's so important with this just to keep checking and rechecking, really.
With the first upright in position, we're ready for a batch of quick-drying concrete known as post mix.
Have you got something to tamp it down with? Aha! Right, before you slap that cement in, Dilys, let's just make sure that it's fine. You can whack it in, actually, because I'll change it around as we go. So put half in, then.
When the post mix is well packed down, it's sprinkled with water before filling, tamping and sprinkling again.
Perfect! How's that for saying 2 bags will do a hole?
Anne-Marie, you've done a brilliant job there.
So have you. That's the first one there, there's 8 more.
Once our guidepost is in place, all the others are measured and positioned from it.
Now we're at 36 now.
And what should we be at?
37 and a half. No, we need 3 more inches.
You right? Where's that?
Oh, spot on.
OK, last one then.
The post mix will take about half an hour to set.
It feels...
Ooh, cosy.
You do that?
While we're waiting, we can cut the trellis to the correct width.
We just offer it up, yeah? Moment of truth. Look at that. Perfect.
Perfect. Just as well. Now it's set. Needs to go up just a tad.
What we need to do is just leave a little bit of give, so when the top of this arbour's we can just screw
Push
it
it
all
together.
tight home. OK?
Yep,
That's bitten.
Yep.
So now we can do the exciting bit. The top, yes!
Yeah.
Lift. OK, slot it in there. Ready? I'm going to
Yes,
push.
done it.
Excellent. That's good. With the last couple of trellis panels to screw in, we're on the home stretch.
Yep.
So there. That is bloody good.
God, doesn't that make a difference?
That's really good. Always like a knob. What do you make of it, though?
Well, I think once it's clothed with clematis and roses and stuff like that, it'll be absolutely perfect.
You need someone to share it with, really, now, don't you? So I think you should be working on that before I see you next time. This should be a snogging seat, shouldn't it?
Yeah. But I don't fancy you. Sorry.
Until a few years ago, Adam Waterman would get home at 5 a.m. after a night of clubbing. But nowadays, that's the time he gets up and heads off for his 3 allotments, just 100 yards from his Yorkshire home. Adam is now a committed organic gardener. So what led him to this complete change of lifestyle?
I enjoy feeding myself and my children and my wife on the food that we have produced. I garden organically because I don't see the reason to not garden organically. It seems logical, if you're going to grow food to eat, to not cover it with pesticides and herbicides and all the rest of it. It seems far better idea to work with nature rather than against nature. Yeah.
As an organic gardener myself, I'm curious to know just how Adam deals with pest control.
It is. Is this where you grow your carrots?
Well, not just carrot, anything that's affected by carrot fly, which is salsify, parsnips, carrots, parsley.
You use this netting and the carrot fly physically can't get through it?
Yeah, it's a barrier method.
But the water and the air can?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And the supports are just as...
Just alkathene pipe. You can buy it from builders' yards or any DIY type place. It's quite cheap.
I use at home a fleece which I just lay over the carrots and fix at the corners, and as the carrots grow they push it up.
Right. I mean, I do that on my brassicas, as you can see, for cabbage whitefly. But again, it's a barrier method.
So why don't you use that on the brassicas?
Because that's relatively expensive in that size of width.
Right. But I mean, other than carrot fly and cabbage white, there's nothing else that you have to be too specific about, is there?
Well, things like strawberries, I've got a problem with strawberries and slugs.
Where are your strawberries?
Just over there, just over there.
Let's have a look at those. Yeah, I hadn't seen these before.
Yeah, these are the second year they've been in. They were in last year. These are a bit late. It's a variety that latens a bit.
But I can see what you mean about slug damage. So you didn't watch me the other day say use grit?
I did watch.
But you didn't listen.
No, but it's quite an expensive way of dealing with a problem. But
it is expensive. Yeah. The only thing is it works and it lasts. But anyway, you've used hay and there are slugs underneath there doing their worst. So what are we going to do?
There's too many for the knife, so I'm calling in reinforcements.
Adam is going to use slug-destroying nematodes to protect his strawberries. These are microscopic worms which tunnel underground and invade the slugs' bodies.
I do like the way these work. You know, they burrow in and then destroy the slug from the inside.
Just like they do my strawberries.
Yeah, it's you know, the thought of maximum pain and retribution makes the gardener sleep better at night.
Yeah.
The nematodes are advertised in the gardening press and can be bought by mail order. Each pack contains 12 million parasitic worms in a clay base. Just add them to water to activate them, and they'll make up to 50 litres of solution. This will cover about 40 square metres. Unlike some chemicals, they are completely harmless to humans.
I don't think that this is practical over a whole allotment.
No, you'd be fighting a losing battle on that. But as I say, for a few weeks, this will do the trick.
I mean, it would be good inside the polytunnel.
But I don't have problems with slugs in the polytunnel.
Oh, well, so you don't need to do
I have
that.
other problems in my polytunnel. I do.
All right, let's go and have a look at that.
Okay.
We've done this. Well, it doesn't look like you've got many problems. Everything's grown like mad since I came.
The biggest threat to Adam's vegetables come from greenfly, or aphids. There aren't any in the polytunnel at the moment, but they could fly in at any time. The organic approach to the problem is to encourage aphid predators, such as ladybirds and lacewings, to take up residence. So Adam has bought some predator hotels.
I've got a ladybird house.
Is this really necessary?
The concept being that if you introduce ladybirds and there's no aphids in here at the time, then you put a little bit of ladybird food in there.
You could argue if there's no aphids, you don't need any ladybirds.
You could, but I don't want all the ladybirds to go in the meantime. So, and it's yellow,
the yellow's significant?
Yeah, the yellow
and
attracts.
that's the food, and you don't know what's in there. Do they tell you what's in there? No.
Ladybird egg and chips.
Well, I certainly don't want to be a downer on it, because it's better than any kind of spray.
Oh, yeah. Now, lacewings. Now, this is a lacewing house.
Very sweet, that. With straw inside.
Straw inside. This is pheromone. I don't know how they obtain this. And that's lacewing larvae. So you just pop that in there and then just stick that on a shelf or whatever.
So you put those in there?
Yeah.
Stick some essence of Mel Gibson or whatever it is that turns them on.
Yeah.
And they come flocking in?
They come flocking in and then they eat my aphids.
Adam's polytunnel is now armed with organic defenders against problem pests. Back at home, Adam has a collection of acid-loving plants, which we dug up on my last visit, and he wants to make a new bed for them.
It's a bit scruffy.
It's a veritable mess, Mr. Don.
The problem is that rhododendrons and heathers and other ericaceous plants need acid soil, and Adam's soil is not quite acid enough.
There's absolutely no point in making an ericaceous bed
unless
your soil is acidic.
No. I've got my trusty kit.
The last time I did one of these was in Annabelle's garden last year.
I watched it closely.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you knew how to do it. You do it.
Using the chemical reagents supplied with the kit, we simply add a soil sample and a small amount of tap water. Once this is all mixed up, it's just a matter of comparing the colour with the guide to see how acid or alkaline the soil is.
Most of it's come out. 6.5?
Yeah.
So it's not an acidic soil?
No.
So to speak?
No.
Right. My advice would be...
don't bother.
Forget the idea. Plant things that like a neutral soil.
And it's my garden, so no.
Although I would have preferred to scrap all of Adam's old plants, he just couldn't bear to lose them. So, to give them a fighting chance, we're acidifying the soil the organic way, by digging in some well-rotted manure. We're also adding in some pine needles that Adam collected from a local wood.
I'm not too bothered about it being perfect.
That's just as well, probably.
All of these plants have been around for a while, and some of them are getting quite pot-bound. Some of them are also suffering from chlorosis, which is the yellowing caused by too much lime in the soil. But with the help of a pail of water and a pine needle mulch, we can only hope for a full recovery.
Hi. Hello, your family's back. Hordes of girls.
Oh, careful.
Yeah, it looks rather good, that. Not bad. It looks a lot neater.
Neat, tidy, front garden.
Looks nice, yes.
Doesn't it?
You going to come inside and help me decorate now?
I'll come inside, but I'm not going to help you decorate.
I've got more needs inside the house than the allotment.
Careful.
Well done.
After the break, Carol Klein is in Devon, planting up a pond to attract wildlife.
Welcome back. Now, I think tomatoes are one of the most satisfying of all crops to grow. If you've grown them before, you'll know all this. But if it's a first time, it's really important that you take the laterals out. Now, the laterals are the growth that comes at 45 degrees between the main stem and the leaves. They grow very strongly, and it can seem a bit radical if you've let them get too big, but don't be frightened. Take them out and then train the plant as a cordon up some sort of support. Adam's using twine and then twisting it round it as it grows. I tend to use a cane and tie it to it, but it doesn't matter what. It does need support because tomatoes can get really heavy as they get mature. Very, very important to keep tomatoes well watered. At least once a week, give them a really good soaking, and probably every other day if the weather's at all warm. They need a bit of feed, high potash. I use liquid seaweed. But other than that, dead easy. Now, Carol Klein is back in Devon with Chris and Bill Skeels and helping them with their pond.
8 years ago, Essex couple Chris and Bill Skeels gave up their 9-to-5 jobs and went back to the land in North Devon, reinventing themselves as small-time farmers. Recently, they turned their attention to the garden, which is 10 times the size of the one that they had back in Southend, and gives them the scope for projects that they could only dream of before. Latest on their wish list is a large pond, already dug and lined by Bill, and waiting to be brought to life.
All this wildlife that's out there, we don't get to see it. And I just think if we build something that's in harmony with our surroundings, they're all going to go, we'll come and live here, and then we get the pleasure because we're going to see them. And that's really what this pond's about.
It looks like hard work.
Certainly is hard work.
Yeah, what have you done, Bill? It's brilliant. It's a major earthworks, isn't it?
We had a problem with the clay because there's so many stones sticking through. We put 1.5 screed of cement and sand in. Then
Real concrete?
Real concrete, 1.5 all over.
Yeah.
Then the lounge carpet went in.
You got any carpet left indoors?
None at all, none at all. So
right.
we've done the job 5 times.
Yeah. Bill's made a wide shelf just below the final water level for plants which like their roots in shallow water. In 2 places he's built low walls where he wants to make beds for these marginal plants.
I'm going to put another liner inside,
Yeah.
so then the soil will go back on top, the liner.
Right, and you've done one already?
Yeah.
It's just your demonstration model, is it?
Yeah, that's the one I let Chris do.
I'll bet. They could put plants in pots straight onto the shelf, but these enclosed beds will give the plants a chance to spread more naturally. Let's give you a hand with this liner then. This is the same stuff you've used for lining your ponds?
It's identical, yes.
Yeah. Black side up for this?
Black side up.
Not backside?
No, black side up.
Does it matter if it overhangs, Bill?
No, I'll cut that off afterwards. All we need to do is just push it down onto the bed.
This is a good idea, this.
That'll be fine.
And the water will just push it out anyway?
Yes.
So you're going to fill all this with soil?
Just ordinary topsoil.
Because the problem is sometimes soil's got fertiliser in and that just encourages algae and, you know, all that horrible blanket weed and...
Right.
And,
no, just ordinary topsoil, no fertilisers whatsoever.
I'll believe you.
Okay.
I'll believe you. But would you mind if I leave you to it?
No, fine.
Hiya, Chris.
Hi. You been playing with Bill?
Yes, we've both been on the shelf.
Oh.
What have you got in store for us then?
All different plants for different places.
Yeah, and you've got all 3 things that you really need. You've got stuff to grow on your margins for insects to climb in and out and clothe the edge of your pond, and you've got oxygenators, haven't you?
Yeah.
Several different kinds. And you've got some lilies. It's really important to have things that float about on the surface of the pond. You know, if you have a completely open surface, you encourage blanket weed and stuff. And also little creatures can hide underneath it. So what should we start off with? Because Bill's still doing these margins.
What if we do the oxygenators, because then we'll be out of his way?
Yeah, all right, and I love chucking stuff in, don't you? All ponds need these oxygenating plants which sit at the bottom. They take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. They also absorb the nutrients which would otherwise encourage the growth of unsightly blanket weed. Let's have a go at some of these then, shall we?
Yeah. I've got some stones.
Yeah.
And some string.
Because if you just chuck them in as they are, they'll just float around on the surface. And it'll take them ages to sink. Will it stay on there, though?
Well, we'll soon find out.
Go on, you do it. All right. Ready, steady, go!
Oh, sorry, Bill.
A pond this size needs at least half a dozen bunches of oxygenating plants and a selection of marginals, which are both decorative and good for wildlife.
OK, that's fine.
All right. I think that's enough, don't you?
I should think so.
Yeah.
It's only going to grow, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You're only going to have to pull it out. So, shall we all have a go at this then?
Yeah.
I like this. This is just yellow flag iris, isn't it?
Yeah, oops. That's the common one.
Yeah. Because this is a native plant, it's going to attract more wildlife than, you know, your ornamentals. I mean, ornamental plants are smashing and they'll still attract butterflies and pollinating insects, but as many native plants as you can have.
Yeah, and that's why you get more wildlife.
Yeah, and that's what you want, isn't it?
Well, that's the idea of it.
That houtinnia you're planting is a really lovely plant. It's not native, but it's perfect right in the water, on the edge, or even in a sort of damp border. And it's got a very invasive root system, but you smell it.
Oh.
The roots sort of smell of orange peel, don't they?
Well, yeah, but what a shame. Because the flowers don't.
No. But it's all right when you're planting it anyway, isn't it?
I have to keep coming up giving it a poke so it smells nice.
Yeah, you'll have to keep coming up and dividing it, won't you?
Probably.
I'm going to plant this Xanthodecia right in its pot because it's in one of these special pots with loads of holes that you can just drop down into the water and plonk onto your marginal shelf. You wouldn't even need any soil if you put it outside there. This one, crowbar, is completely hardy.
But that's the only one that is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. When the pond is full, all these plants will be standing in about 6 inches of water. When the water level rises, the parrot's feather will float on the surface and the pond will be ready for the local wildlife. I think that's a really good start.
Really smashing.
Yeah, I think the only thing you need to do is make sure this soil doesn't float away by just plonking some gravel or...
We've got that gravel from up there, haven't we? We can use that if we wash it.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. And I can't wait to see the pond filled up next time. Really looking forward to it.
That's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Real Gardens. Now, I know there are some people who feel that we've had a bad summer so far, but if you're a gardener, I think it's been pretty good. We've had lots of sunshine, lots of rain, everything's still growing very lushly, and if we'd had a dry summer, things like this wedding day rose would be over by now. Look at it, still got another few days' life in it, but I bet you've never seen one before clambering over and through a cordyline, like in Liz Collinette's garden here in Guernsey.
Later on, I'll be finding out about the surprising ingredients in Liz's compost heap.
Significant part of your...
The odd dead chicken and
Dead
rats.
chickens? Liz!
Anne-Marie is mastering the art of dry stone walling with Dillis in the Cotswolds. And Carol Klein is getting her hands dirty down in Devon. Liz Collinette and her husband Rod live in a handsome old house with a large garden overlooking Vale Pond in Guernsey. When I was here a month ago, the delphiniums in their lakeside border and the oriental poppies closer to the house were looking at their best. Now those borders are going over, but other things have taken their place and the garden is still full of colour.
Those roses have been in garden since I was last here.
Yes, things change.
I had really hoped that these agapanthus would be out.
I was hoping for you as well, Monty. There'll be another fortnight yet, week or a fortnight. The white ones will. But the blue ones are more forward. And I've got one patch which is absolutely beautiful, which you'll love that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So these are fantastic.
Do you like them?
Now, why do you think those are out earlier?
I don't know why, because they've all got the same position, haven't they?
They're lovely. Now, when did you plant these?
Well, I've never planted them. Just popped up.
You see, I can grow those without any trouble in a pot, but I can't overwinter them. They'd never just pop up in my garden.
No.
And I like the way against the yellow of the evening primrose and the marguerites.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't
Beautiful.
it?
Now, the truth is, however great all these are, what I really want to do is get inside your greenhouse.
It's going to be
because I dine out of your greenhouse, you know. It's the biggest greenhouse anyone's ever seen.
Back in May, I helped Liz cover all 75 feet of her greenhouse with a lime wash to stop her plants becoming scorched. Although there is one plant that Liz's son Philip put in, which I would be quite happy to see burned alive.
What are you doing growing a prickly pear by the door of your greenhouse? You're mad, you?
Well, not from choice, not from choice. It's Philip's first thing he ever grew and he's got attached to it.
It's very aggressive, you know. You come in the door and there's these spikes waiting to get you. So how do you control it?
Well, I give it a bash from time to time.
Really? Can I see you whack it?
Yeah, but do stand well back.
OK, what do you use?
An heel stick. Put one there, that'll do, won't it?
Each chunk of cactus is capable of producing a new plant just as nasty as its parent. The thorns pierce clothing and then break off once they're well dug into your flesh. Thankfully, these bits of cactus are destined for the bonfire.
Well, that's them out of the way.
Looks better, doesn't it?
It would look much better gone.
You'd feel better gone, that's for sure.
Well, your basil looks good.
Yes,
Now you can get at it, you can see it.
Yes. I'm going to cut that tomorrow morning when it's nice and fresh.
You must use it sort of within the hour of picking it.
Do you reckon if I cut it to within 2 inches it would sprout again?
Yeah. Give it a good soak and it will come back. You're going to make pesto out of that?
I am.
I'll give you our recipe.
Oh, thanks, Monty.
Most of these plants would have been burned to a frazzle if we hadn't put that lime wash on the roof.
Look at your tomatoes, you show off.
I know.
You go. What type are they?
They're money maker. They're good disease-resistant tomatoes. They'll crop until December, maybe.
Really? So they're December. Incredible.
Yeah.
And what have you got here?
Melons. 2 sorts of
Really?
melons.
Each of these will be a melon?
Yep.
Do you pollinate them with a brush?
If I think of it.
So how often do you think of it?
Not often.
You are a funny one. And your pepper's twice the size of mine. Fantastic.
It is.
This blanket, is that to catch the peaches?
Yes, Rodney's put those up for that. Yeah.
So that's his contribution to the garden?
Yes, they're really
Oh, look,
delicate.
there's some in there.
Oh, good. Go on, try.
God, you know what they feel like? Just like a baby's head.
Yeah, it is just like a baby's head.
So how many of these have you had?
About 50, I should think.
You must have to feed it a lot.
Well, it's all in the soil. It's my
Really?
seaweed compost in the soil, plus a top-up of liquid seaweed.
Right.
Talking of which, it's just the right time to go and get some more off the beach. You
Today?
game for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go for it then. Come on.
Can we eat these on the way?
Yes.
Do you know, I think this is a fantastic luxury to be able to push a wheelbarrow onto the beach and get your own seaweed.
It is, isn't it?
Now, what are we looking for?
We're looking for some good seaweed. If I could choose, I would have all this. This is bladderwrack. Rot's a bit slower, a bit lighter. But in the summer, we have to rely more or less on sea lettuce altogether. See, this is squelchy stuff.
So when does the bladderwrack come up?
Autumn, with the big gales, big autumn gales, October.
So you lie in bed and listen to the wind.
Yes, and hope it's blowing west.
And think, whoa, bladderwrack.
It's this morning. Yes, today, yeah.
So how much do you collect?
Well, the first year I collected 97 barrow loads.
97 barrow loads?
That was before the bad back. It's probably the cause of the bad back.
Does everybody do this? Is this a Guernsey thing?
It is a Guernsey thing, but not many people do it these days. You occasionally see people coming down with a car and sacks and filling up the boot.
There's all sorts of stuff in here. There's shells, crab
shells. There's the sandhoppers.
Which will make it limey, which the worms will love.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon that's enough for battling over.
OK.
Seaweed is rich in potash and trace elements. If you can't gather your own, you can always buy it in dried and powdered form.
Here we go. You're right.
Oh, that's not bad, is it?
And how many layers would a heap this size have?
Between 6 and 8, I should think.
Really? So it's
Yeah.
a very significant part of your compost?
It's a really important part of it.
What else do you put on?
Shredded paper from Rodney's office, kitchen waste, garden waste, you know, lawn cuttings, things like that. Any dead chickens or
Dead
rats?
chickens?
I do, actually. We don't have many of them.
And rats?
Buried
Oh.
underneath, fine.
Liz, you shouldn't do that, you know.
Oh, why not? It'll all rot down.
Well, partly because it attracts other rats,
Well, it doesn't matter, does it, really?
and partly, do you really want decomposing flesh feeding your vegetables and fruit?
I'm not at all bothered, actually.
Oh, you know.
And they're not many, Monty. If I get 4 or 5 bodies in a year, that's it.
Do you turn this?
No, I don't. Too heavy for me.
The Centre for Alternative Technology have come up with latest research on composting, which pretty much exactly mirrors this. Big heap, not turned, lots of paper and straw. Funnily enough, they didn't mention rats or chickens, but there we
Funny
are.
that.
And you leave it for, how long do you leave it for?
A year.
Yeah.
At least a year. If
They
I...
were saying 18 months.
Yeah, well, if I could leave it longer, if I didn't need it,
Yeah.
and if it wasn't ready.
Liz's garden benefits from the mild Guernsey climate with lots of sun and plenty of rain. All that plus seaweed compost, and it's not surprising that her borders continue to flourish throughout the summer. Dilys Wilson lives in an old house with a garden full of stone in a small town in the Cotswolds. Over the past year, she's completely renovated the house and started work on the garden. Working entirely to her own design, she's divided the garden into 4 distinct sections. Last time Anne-Marie was here, the two of them put up an arbour which marks a division between one section and the next. In the meantime, there have been more developments.
So, come and have a look. I must admit, I haven't done it all myself.
I can't believe how much stone has been shifted.
And it's so much bigger.
This is brilliant. So this is all going to be grass, isn't it?
This is all going to be grass. This is my next job, to grass it all up. But
it's a hot day to be doing it today, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you fancy doing some stone walling instead?
Yeah, I'd love to learn how to do that.
First of all, we have to demolish one.
Oh, right.
So it's even better, the destructive bit.
Demolishing stuff. Which
wall? Right down here, at the front.
Yeah.
Well, can you see a bit of a difference between the two walls?
Yes.
Guess which one I started with?
That one. This was Dilys's first attempt at a dry stone wall, and it's bulging out in all the wrong places.
What I want to do is pull this down and redo it and make it more like this wall.
So how are we going to start?
Well, the first thing we need to do is pull the wall down. Bit of aggression. I'm going to wimp out and I'm going to wear gloves.
Right.
Because this stone doesn't have to take it out of your hands.
I'm going to give it a go and see how I feel.
Well, the first thing we need to do is put the stone to different piles. And basically, all these top stones we ought to put back over here because these are nice, big, flat stones.
Right.
Which are good for topping the whole thing
top.
off. Yeah. So they need to be put over to one side. And if we pretty much put them back in the way they are laid, hopefully they'll fit back together again. That's the theory, anyway.
With the precious top stones put safely to one side, we can start taking the wall down. So, have you always been into building like this?
Yeah, I suppose I have, really. I mean, I suppose it's an extension of renovating houses.
You don't look like a tomboy.
I am. I go sailing as well, and that's not many girls do that either. I got a bit more girly when I started fancying boys at school. But as I didn't
Well, that's precisely the time where I got a bit more girly. To recreate the traditional Cotswold style, Dilys shows me how to select the stones according to size and flatness.
This is a good stone, Anne-Marie, to keep. You see, it's nice and uniform and thick, and it's quite flat as well, so it'd be easy to work with.
Yeah, what's a bad one then?
Right, a bad one.
I think I can see one.
This one, this is a real baddie. I don't know if I can get this out without a whole lot falling down. This is that's a horrible one.
That's horrible.
See, it's...
Stone, you're bad.
It's all uneven, it's not got a flat front.
Chuck it.
Oh, that's dead. If you just sweep it all along.
OK.
So we just
now that we're down to the first 2 courses, we need to brush the soil from the foundation stones before we can start rebuilding our new and improved wall.
When you pick your stone up, you plonk it in place, you don't fiddle around faffing looking for the right stone, and then you just keep twisting it and turning it until it fits right. You don't put the stone back, it's going to place. You picked it in your hand, you're going to put it in its place, and you just turn it around until it fits.
That's good.
So, like that, that's perfect. Start with bigger stones at the bottom, work your way up to thinner stones as you get further up the top.
So do we need to backfill as we go then?
Yep, that's the best way to do it, and then really push it down behind the stones so that they're really firm.
OK.
And if you have small stones or something, that's quite a good idea to put behind the immediate back of the wall because it just allows drainage to come through as well.
We could actually be putting plants in now, couldn't we?
Yeah.
If it needs packing, that's where we put our plants, don't you think?
Yeah.
And it'll look entirely random.
Yeah.
Dilys has bought a selection of alpines, the kind of plants which grow in thousands of suburban rockeries. But here we're going to put them into pockets in the wall to create a living garden feature.
They're Mediterranean-loving plants, aren't they, really? So they want it dry and quite poor.
They grow in the alpine regions, so they're torrid plants.
They'll be perfect for here because actually the Cotswolds is quite hot in the summer and cold in the winter. And that is perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got it. It really is a really good place.
And that would save me having to find a little stone to put in there to stop all the earth running out.
I think we should go for this one, do you?
Oh, the sedum, yeah.
I really like it. I think it's just got great red stems, hasn't it? Why don't we
Oh, yeah.
Be a little bit
I like that
stingy. 2 for the price of 1.
Right, shall I
We're using a mixture of compost and grit, as these plants need good drainage to prevent them from rotting. If we put that with the cut down...
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yep. That's okay. And squish it right down. Oh, doesn't that look good?
I like doing this.
You know, we've got another planting pocket here.
Why don't you put one in? Yeah.
In fact, do you realise that you've planted the first proper plant in this garden probably for 40 years?
Oh, that's not fair. You should have done that.
I'll have a plaque there. Do you think we can split this one up as well?
I don't know if I would, you know.
It's a bit fat and squishy. I'm going to
pull some of that off.
Here it goes. Oh, yeah. That'll be good in there.
OK, well, let's get cracking. Going like the clappers. Our final job is to retrieve and replace our top stones. It's kind of ironic that we saved the big, heavy stones till the last, isn't it?
Well, if you make them fairly flat, like a seat, then A, it looks nice, and B, if you have a party or anything, then
you can use them as a seat.
Bingo. Oh,
wow.
Doesn't that look better than it did before?
We've now got a neat vertical wall in place of the bulging slope, with the alpines to complete the finished effect. Loads better.
It's so tempting not to redo something. The thought of pulling a job down that you've already done, but I really think it was worth it, don't you?
Yeah, not bad for a day's work.
We'll take a break now, and when we come back, Carol Klein is going to be in Devon. See you in a moment. Welcome back. Now, if you've got a clump of flag irises and they're well established, now's the perfect time to lift them and divide them. You want to dig up the whole plant and then cut off the edges, because that's where the future energy is going to be. Let's get that up there. You can see the whole thing has coalesced into a lump, and if we see, that's coming off of its own accord, and we've got quite a few pieces there. And as long as you've got an inch or 2 of rhizome on each section, they're going to replant really well. And the idea is it'll get new vigour, it'll grow into a new clump, and then you'll do the job again in about 3 years' time. Plant them very shallowly. I like baked, sunny conditions. Just get them in the ground, nice vigorous roots on there, and then cut off the top of the leaves, because there's nothing to support them, and if that gets windy, they're just going to blow over. That now will grow well. Divide the whole of the rest up, spread it around the garden, fill those holes up, and you'll have lots more of irises next year. Now, down in Devon, Carol Klein is visiting Chris and Bill Skeels, where they're still working on that bog garden.
Chris and Bill Skeels moved to Devon to live the good life. Their 1-acre garden surrounds their cottage, and there's plenty of work that needs to be done. Theirs is a perfect garden partnership. Chris is the planner, dreaming up the ideal garden and nurturing hundreds of plants from seeds and cuttings ready to fill it. Fortunately, Bill can do the work as fast as she can come up with ideas.
Without my action, man, there's no way that I could do this, you know. I get all the credit. In fact, I think I get a lot more credit than I deserve. But it's definitely a two-way thing, and Bill does an awful lot of hard work here.
Carol Klein has been helping the couple as the garden takes shape. Together, the 3 of them have made a shingle garden, and on Carol's last visit, they made a start on planting up the pond. Since then, the pond has been topped up with water, and Bill has started to turf around the edges.
Look at that! It really works. Look at all that planting. And there are already creatures and all sorts of things all over it.
Well, it's coming to life now.
It looks as though it's been here for a long, long time. And what are these two?
Well, this is something that has been somewhere for a long time. It's sludge.
Right.
This has been at the bottom of our friend's pond, hasn't it?
That's right.
and it's going in our pond.
Right, because it'll be full of all sorts of insects, eggs and larvae and all kinds of things. Get your pond off to a flying start.
That's right.
And anyway, any excuse to get your hands in a
Smells good.
bucket of mud.
I might let Bill get mucky then.
Oh, right, OK. And me. Shall we have one each, Bill?
Right.
Isn't it lovely?
I knew you'd like that job.
Oh, it stinks.
Terribly good for your skin, you know.
I'll take your word for it.
Oh, your hands look so much smoother. No, that's the last thing for the pond, really, isn't it?
That's
But
right.
I presume this is our next job. This is your bog garden, yeah?
That's right, yeah.
You've been busy again.
I'm busy all the time.
I think actually he's built a growth room to bury me, so there's no more jobs.
And you've already got all your plants together over here, Chris.
Well, I've just put them all over there and I thought we could rummage through and see which ones sit properly in the garden, really.
Yeah, the fine collection. You've also got some of your carnivorous plants, haven't you? They're beautiful. Are you just going to mix them up with your other plants?
Well, no, because actually they need a different soil base, because they need to have like a lime-free acid one.
Yeah.
And the others that's not important for.
No,
they
they'll
just go in
tolerate.
ordinary ground.
So how about making a separate little bed? And
I know.
well, you're so
Not
good
another
at
hole.
it.
It took me all day digging that one.
So if Chris and I puncture this lining so that the...
Puncture it, bang goes my 25-year guarantee on the liner.
Right, so, yeah. What should we use, Chris? Some forks?
Forks, what do you think?
The idea behind a bog garden is to provide a home for plants which grow naturally in the damp soil close to water. Although the bog garden must stay moist, water needs to be able to percolate through the liner and into the ground beneath. The carnivorous plants will be happy in this separate, shallow bed next to the main bog garden. A layer of gravel ensures that the holes won't get clogged with soil. Before we fill the bed, it's important to remove any traces of weed. Chris and Bill's clay soil is ideal for a bog garden, as it retains water very effectively. The carnivorous plants like to have their roots permanently in water, so their liner doesn't need any holes. They're planted in moss peat, which is acidic and low in nutrients, just like the wetlands where they grow naturally. The peat's very light and dry and needs a thorough soaking before planting. I don't know anything about these plants at all.
Well, they're a little bit different to your normal plant.
I always thought they were really tropical and difficult.
Well, they look it because they look so fancy, don't they? But in fact, that's one of the reasons why we decided to really go for them, because they're that bit different and they are hardy. So they'll withstand some frost.
I've never planted a pitcher plant before, Chris.
Have you not?
No, I haven't. They don't have many roots, do they? But I don't suppose they need them.
They don't have roots because they don't need to get nutrients from the soil, because the flies are their nutrients.
Yeah.
What it is that the fly comes along and there's, I don't know the technical name, but there's some stuff around the edge of the leaf, and the fly starts drinking this stuff and becomes intoxicated and then falls down the trumpet.
Right.
And then as it decays, that's full of dead flies, and that's how it gets its nutrients.
Delightful.
It is, it's fascinating.
Yeah, it is, really.
I bought some for the house, they're marvellous.
And they're strange plants, really, aren't
They
they?
are a bit strange, but then that's Bill. Bill liked these.
What, Bill Strange?
Well, have you not noticed? Very nicely strange. But he likes unusual things. He likes unusual plants. Plants that I wouldn't go for. I like the colours, but he liked the shape and the whole weirdness of them. And I just thought they'd look smashing with the bog plants that we've got.
That was simple, wasn't it? Shall we have a go at the big bog? That's Bill's bog.
Bill's bog.
They're beautiful, Chris. They look so healthy and happy.
Yeah. Well, I've made some of these by division, so there's lots of them.
Yeah. So we can plant to our heart's content. I love this ligularia.
Yeah.
This is Desdemona, isn't it?
And I've got its relation.
Right. The rocket?
I think so.
Where are you going to bring him?
I'm going to put this ligularia here, I think, because it's going to go where the sunshine is.
These imposing waterside plants originate from Asia, but are popular bog garden choices here. Desdemona has golden flowers in late summer. You're going to have all of these together. I think you'll be taking them out in a year's time.
I have to make another bed then,
You'll
won't I?
have to extend your boggy area.
Bill will be thrilled. What about these?
All these plants will soon start to spread and need more space. But for now, Chris wants to pack the bed full for maximum impact. Oh, what about your prize specimen?
Yeah, the Hermocallius.
Yeah.
Right.
Daylilies are often used as border plants, but they really benefit from the moist conditions of a bog garden. This Euphorbia palustris should do really well here. Palustris means sort of living in a swamp, living in a marsh.
Oh, right. Good place for it to be then.
Yeah, ideal. Next spring it'll give you these enormous bright limey green bracts and loads of stems.
That's what I've been waiting for.
Because I'll tell you what, Chris, everything in here is going to grow furiously. Oh, look, are you going to give us a hand? Bill doesn't know it yet, but he's going to have a lot more work to do before this bog garden's finished. I know you thought you were going to have grass all over there, but I think Chris has got designs on it and making a bigger and better bog garden.
Well, that's all we've got time for this week. We'll be back the same time next Sunday night. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.